In the heart of Kenya's Eldoret, a city celebrated for its heroes and champions, a dark secret has now come to light. Mediheal, a renowned fertility and transplant institution, now finds itself at the crossroads of a global organ trafficking syndicate. Accusations have been swelling, especially in the past hours, and for more than a decade allegedly, this institution has operated under the government's watchful but silent eye. Reports from both local and international media suggest that vulnerable youths, such as youths coming from poor backgrounds or youths struggling with their finances, are being lured into selling their kidneys. Promised financial freedom, they end up convinced and deceived into signing documents written in incomprehensible language, only to be shortchanged and left with debilitating health risks and a lifetime of regret. The case of Amon Kipruto has made it to the headlines, a name that has come to symbolize the victims at the center of these allegations. In interviews with both DW and Citizen TV, Amon has recounted how a friend convinced him to sell his kidney. Promised $6,000, Kipruto was directed to Mediheal Eldoret, where he briefly met the recipient. Under pressure, he signed documents filled with obscure legal language. There was no mention of health risks as is required before any critical procedure, and to top it all off, he received only $4,000 after the procedure and was sent home.
I regret because I've always kept my mother. Nimepea mamangu a hard time. Yeah.
Over the span from 2018 to 2023, Mediheal allegedly performed 372 kidney transplants. To top it all off, in just 7 years, it's being reported that there were kidney transplants amounting to about 700 at the institution. This system is also reportedly hugely lucrative. Recipients, primarily from Somalia, Israel, and Germany, as documented by DW, are willing to pay up to $200,000 for just a kidney, while donors are left with a fraction of the agreed sum and a compromised future. This, however, isn't the first time the world has been alerted to these practices. Whistleblowers and investigative journalists from different outlets and local publications have raised red flags over these dubious operations as early as 2015. In 2023, in fact, the controversy escalated when a man by the name Ayub Kani filed a lawsuit against Mediheal.
Kubaliana watanipea pesa nusu, hiyo ingine watanipatia nikitoka kwa dieta, lakini daktari mwenyewe ndiye alisema ni sign kwanza, nikijichajiwa kutoka hospitali watanipea pesa zangu zikiwa zote.
The hospital in its reply.
Ayub Kani claimed that he had agreed to sell his kidney to a man by the name Gilbert Washira for 1.5 million shillings. When he insisted on receiving half the payment up front, a common sense request, the deal was pushed forward and the documents were signed under pressure. Of course, they convinced him. Once the surgery was over, however, Ayub never received the full payment. His lawyer demanded that Mediheal's license be revoked, called for an investigation by the DCI, and pressed for prosecution of those involved. Yet, Mediheal's defense was swift. The institution insisted the procedure was merely a donation, denying any knowledge of a monetary transaction. Amid mounting pressure, the vice president of the Mediheal institution has disputed the claims that have been made so far, disputing further the testimony of Amon Kipruto and many others.
we're facing some challenges and allegation from international press. Actually, we got an allegation that there's the transplant which are done not procedural. But what I'd like to tell you this morning is Mediheal Group of Hospital wishes to categorize and state that all transplant procedures carried out at the facility is strictly attached to the legal and the procedures of the hospital.
According to her, patients arrive with their own donors and the facility never involves in the donors' selection or compensatory agreements.
We will also like to make absolutely clear that the patients are coming with their own donors to the facility. The facility is not involved in sourcing and selection of donors.
Dig deeper and an even more troubling connection surfaces. The owner of Mediheal was not long ago appointed to lead BioVax, a government-backed vaccine production initiative. This dual role raises uncomfortable questions about conflicts of interest and whether unchecked power is enabling unethical practices in more than one arena. Now more than ever, the public is left with more questions than answers. Why has the government suddenly ramped up its investigations when warning signs were there all along? How could these transactions have taken place in plain sight for over a decade? And is there a broader connection, perhaps even a link to the notorious Shakahola incident that points to a more expansive network of criminality?